the British Grand Prix, the first ever F1 race and one of the highlights of the Formula 1 calendar. But is Silverstone really the right place? Well, in short, yeah. Aside from a Mars bar and a can of Pepsi costing you more than your left arm, the circuit is amazing. And when it comes to the F1 organisers, if it isn't broken, do not try to fix it. So there we go, video over, get back to your life. But wait a minute, what if it wasn't perfect? What if something happened to Silverstone that rendered it unusable?
What has happened? We need to know who's going to come out in front.
It's broken!
And we needed to prepare a track for the F1 circus by July of next year. Or else.
But it's time for London E-Prix.
So unless we want the F1 rendition of this, I think we should get on with it. We can make a pretty good start by eliminating quite a few UK circuits that just wouldn't work, and I'm going to annoy some people here. So with that being said, Cadwell, Knockhill, Mallory and Croft all have to go. They're all either too short, too bumpy or just too twisty for the 2025 F1 cars. And while they are really some of the UK's hidden gems, getting an F1 car around the final sector of Cadwell would be like trying to lap Macau in a tank. And besides, the McLarens wouldn't have any space to let each other through.
You're allowed to race Oscar the Pyrals.
Another one we can check off pretty quickly is Alton Park. I know it's going to annoy some people, but a pretty good rule of thumb is if you can struggle to get a GT3 around somewhere, F1 is not the best idea. And while the racing would still be fairly processional, it is a step in the right direction. That being said, we'd need some permanent barriers here. Another few we could check off pretty quickly would be Lydden Hill, Pembury and Anglesey. Unfortunately, they just wouldn't work, but I wouldn't be entirely against a Pembury style rallycross section. So we're starting to get towards some actual prospects now, and this next one which kicks off the top 5 might not be what you're expecting, but it's Castle Combe. While it wouldn't really be long enough for a sub-100 lap race, some changes like a good Daytona-esque infield could make things really interesting. And before you guys all come at me, this kind of circuit mod wouldn't have to be permanent. You should still be able to race on the normal layout. Overall, not a terrible idea and definitely could be higher up this list. But this next one could be quite interesting, as it's been on the calendar before. It's Brands Hatch. I know it could be controversial to have it this far down the list, and it did work 50 years ago.
There's James Hunt off at Pilgrims, the driver walking away from the car. So the disastrous sequence of events which has pursued the Hesketh team this season after their non-championship win at Silverstone continues, and James Hunt is out of the race on the 3rd lap.
But with how the cars are at the moment, the racing just wouldn't be as good as you'd think. That being said, turn 4 could make for some interesting overtaking, and seeing those F1 cars rocket down Paddock Hill Bend again would be incredible. I've thought long and hard about this top 3, but just whatever way you order them, it feels wrong. So with that being said, number 3 is going to be Donington Park. Now just wait a minute, before you start googling my home address, let me give you some of my reasons. 1, yes, it is an amazing circuit. 2, yes, it did used to be on the calendar. And 3, it is probably one of the closest to actually being able to house Formula 1 cars. But the modifications needed to adapt it to F1 cars would really just rip out the heart and soul of this circuit and ruin it for all of the other championships racing there. So with that being said, Donington Park, number 3. Number 2 on my increasingly weird circuit list would go to Snetterton, as you wouldn't really need to change much aside from making the track wider. This circuit's technical nature and actual overtaking spots does give it a case for number 1. It's got a similar tight and twisty nature to Zandvoort, but fitting 20 cars around here would still be difficult, and also it wouldn't do wonders for the local crow population. So here we go then, the new best venue for the British Grand Prix would be none other than the UK's fastest circuit, Thruxton. Even just the circuit as it is would be interesting, but add in an infield section similar to what we said about Castle Combe and you can make this a world-class track. Yes, it would be at the expense of an airfield and an entire paddock, but hey, you could even throw in that rallycross section we were talking about. So there we go then. If you disagree, which I know 90% of you guys do, feel free to comment your order below. But we're really all kidding ourselves. If Silverstone was gone tomorrow, we all know what the FIA would choose.
Time for the Marvel Fantastic Four London E3.